Chris. So I've done visual effects, sort of magazine covers, just work on models, and sort of
Yeah.
been in the industry for a few years. And
Yeah, about
sort of,
15 years now.
yeah.
Yeah.
What inspires sort of your work and just you in general, would you say?
Yeah, I think quite a lot of things. So yeah, as you said, I've been in the industry about 15 years. I used to do animation, computer animation, and some little bits of visual effects, but it was mainly graphics and animation. So I did that for about 10 years before photography. And photography was just a hobby, so I've always been interested in kind of art and design. And I lived in a house that was obviously like full of kind of artists and things going on because my dad was a painter and a glass artist, so often I had kind of interest in books and kind of a studio there and things that I could always kind of look at. So yeah, it was. I think that was probably a big thing. Inspiration wise, was probably growing up around other artists and other kind of creatives. So yeah, I think that's probably followed through into my work a little bit. But yeah, I loved the idea of doing 3D, but it was, and I still do some now. I still enjoy trying to mix it in with my photography. But yeah, I think being stuck behind a desk kind of 24/7 when I started doing photography, and I realised it was a nice balance between kind of being more sociable and kind of meeting people and starting to travel, and then some of the editing and the kind of creative side. It was just a nice mix of that rather than just kind of being sat on a screen all day long, which is good.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think obviously other photographers, especially when I first started, I think it was like the really old Calvin Klein campaigns, like the really kind of minimal black and white, very clean, but always kind of like brilliantly like cast and kind of I don't know just the way they posed and kind of put everything together. And some of the older kind of Versace campaigns like Merton Marcus. I love their work, especially when I started the really kind of high contrast, very deep blue skies and kind of something about the way they kind of lit and graded and kind of put all those images together. I love that. And then probably a little bit further on, photographers like was it a group called Chandon Frey, and I think they're in Singapore, and they do again like very high contrast, kind of very punchy, bold kind of work. Amazing use of light. I think they've done stuff with like lasers and all kinds of crazy stuff. But yeah, just a really and even like car headlights, just really creative ways of doing stuff. Um, so yeah, I think we're probably kind of overwhelmed almost with inspiration now with Pinterest and Instagram. There's so much out there. So yeah, I think it's probably trying to find what clicks with you the most, and almost like filter out some of the other stuff that's there and try and focus on one area. Even and you can always change. Like my style's shifted over the last kind of 15 years, probably. I love the work of God, the name's gone out of my head now. Jack Davidson, like he does some really stunning, very natural. It doesn't often look very kind of overly like retouched or produced. Just really beautifully lit, color graded. You know, everything about his work just looks very creative and very kind of natural, like in the moment. Very sculptural uses of light, strong uses like silhouettes and shapes in his work. So yeah, I've loved seeing his work. So it's kind of yeah, I think my style always try will or people's style in general, I think will shift over time. But yeah, it's trying to find something that really clicks with you and trying to focus on that to some extent and see what you can kind of bring from it because your own style will kind of come through. I think eventually it's almost kind of like you look at work that you're inspired by, try and replicate that to some extent. And work out how it was done, what you love about it, what you kind of maybe struggle with, and then start to bring in your own kind of ideas and creativity and kind of make it more like your own. There's always the danger of trying to just kind of replicate someone else's style and end up just being like a budget version of Marcus or something, which you don't want to do. You want to try and find your own kind of niche and your own kind of way of communicating. which is good. Have you got any kind of favorite photographers or styles at the moment?
What style? I'd say possibly. I like using a bit of like grain. Sort of if there's grain in an image, I'll just keep it there sometimes just to add to it a bit of
Yeah,
depth. And sort of motion blur.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So any photographers that have jumped out in the last few years that you follow?
Is it plant or
Oh yes, yeah,
yeah, because I
yeah,
watched some Netflix episode on them. It's sort of quite
yeah. Oh
interesting.
yes, what about that series?
Yeah,
Yeah, oh, that's great. Yeah, he's done some stunning work. I'm trying to think who else that I saw recently as well. But yeah, there's some absolutely stunning work just from new photographers as well. But obviously,
yeah,
there's the all the kind of masters, if you like, that are still going,
yeah.
which is great. Um, yeah, which is great.
I think as well, sort of, is it like Alexander McQueen's sort of fashion show work that he has, sort of that kind.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, especially with fashion, a lot of it obviously revolves around the clothing. So yeah,
Yeah,
that's part of it as well. Is trying to find brands that you would like to kind of shoot with and that you think would work well in your style. Kind of different styles suit different
yeah,
kind of clothing. So yeah, McQueen's work was absolutely unreal. Was really lucky to work on an Alexander McQueen play about 10 years ago. That was my first intro to doing kind of production shots and things for the West End. I love that. That was just really interesting to dive deeper into kind of his work and his history. Yeah, just some really stunning work on that. So yeah, it's definitely an inspiration as well.
and it says, well, is it like Shinner that we had on the course, so it is his work's really
Yeah,
good.
great stuff. Especially his motion work as well.
Yeah,
He's yeah, he's very good at kind of both disciplines, I think, which is great. That's happening more now. You get people that are working a lot in video and stills. But yeah, I think initially starting out, it's probably best to maybe kind of try both, seeing what clicks for
yeah,
you. But yeah, maybe ideally focusing on one more than the other initially,
yeah,
because it can get quite expensive trying to get lighting for both. Because
yeah.
you can use constant light for stills and photography, but yeah, it's yeah, sometimes you'll want flash to really be able to control the light, so it's kind of picking what side has maybe clicks with the most to start with, and then you can always kind of do a mix of it later on. I think.
What would you say is the best way you've found for finding models or agencies to work with?
Yeah, so I think when you start out, it's tricky because obviously model agencies are one.
Yeah,
Yeah, they want to see a portfolio, some work, so that they
yeah,
know when they send the models out. Um, that they're going to get some images that they can
yeah.
use kind of back from it. So yeah, that's obviously a key thing. It's my camera. My camera's on the other side. I don't know. I've been looking on that side. Yeah. Again, apologies for the
Ah,
iPad setup. My laptop just didn't didn't play today.
yeah.
What was going to say? It's because I've got a screensaver on it to cover up the where the camera is. But yeah, so I mean, when I started out, I was kind of street scouting, which I'm amazed I did now because I was not like the most confident in terms of that. Like I was quite shy, but I was determined to try and get some images for my book that I thought would be good for my portfolio. Um, so yeah, it was shooting friends and kind of people that I knew in a little home studio that I'd set up, and started to try and build a little bit of work that way. Um, so I enjoy doing that. And then off the back of that, it was kind of trying to make little business cards, which had some shots that I'd done kind of on the back of them. So if I saw someone that I thought would shoot really well, you could give them a little card and just be like, I'd love to shoot with you. I think you'd shoot really well. Um, if you're interested, drop me a message. If not, no problem at all. And just explain that like I'm new, my portfolio's just kind of building. But yeah, I'd really love to work with you and try and kind of build some images that way. So that's possible. Otherwise, maybe even content model agencies early on, you will probably have to pay, I think, to make it appealing to the models if you're brand new. But it's probably not like hugely expensive, so especially the smaller agencies, or they've got what they would call new faces, that are like new models. You can just say, like, I'd really love to shoot with any of the new faces. I don't have much of a portfolio at the moment, but here's the work I have shot. Like, let me know. Like, I'm happy to pay an amount towards the model's travel and something for their time. And then that's probably an option as well to get some models that way. Yeah, and obviously, like doing workshops like you did, that's one way you can kind of start to get some images of professional models that people can afford your book. But yeah, it makes a big difference getting some good kind of faces, good models in your portfolio, 'cause it makes it look a lot more professional straight away. Because it's hard getting some. I mean, if you're lucky and you've got some very photogenic friends that like posing, then it's not too bad. But yeah, that can be tricky because it's hard to kind of work with friends and kind of people that are not used to being in front of a camera. You're always going to get better images from a professional model.
That's different. It's like recently how I did the course and then after I worked with Bede from the course and sort of
Oh,
did
of
a
course.
shoot.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and you can always get in touch with, like, social media is a good one as well, like through
Yeah,
Instagram.
that's,
Um, yeah, you can reach out to people that way, especially if you've seen them kind of being shot by other photographers that are in your area,
yeah,
so you kind of know they're possibly local. And you can probably normally see from their social media roughly like where they are in the country. If they're always in
yeah,
London, then it's maybe more awkward.
yeah,
But I mean, I travelled earlier on, and when I was doing photography as well, I would try and shoot models down in Manchester, London, kind of wherever, to try and build a more of a mix of images that way. And it's good to kind of get your name out there as well, kind of rather than just focusing on kind of where you live. You can try and kind of expand that way.
yeah.
But that comes in time. It's maybe like a year or so after you've kind of started building your portfolio.
Or just say it's sort of a step someone can take to get into fashion photography if they're starting out.
Yeah, I think the main thing is just trying to build a portfolio.
Yeah,
So yeah, obviously studying is still a great option. There's some really good university courses. I've done little bits of teaching or workshops at Newcastle College. That's been great fun. And Northern School of Art. Try to think where else. But yeah, there's some really strong courses out there that will give you a really good foundation, give you access to studios, studio space, lighting, cameras. It's a good way in some ways to get access to that kind of stuff without spending an absolute fortune like yourself.
yeah,
And obviously, some of the courses can be expensive, but at least that way you can get access to cameras and lighting and studio space, and the knowledge to kind of get started. But yeah, there's always an option to literally. I was just self-taught, so you can kind of save up a bit, get yourself maybe a second-hand kind of camera body, maybe even just one lens, like a 50 mm 1.4 is like a good kind of starting lens because it's nice for portraits. It's not, you want to think of it as kind of longer lenses are normally quite nice for portraits, quite kind of flattering on the face. Obviously, wider lenses are great for street photography or kind of landscape. So 50s are nice kind of in between, so you can do kind of street photography and landscape work. But it's also good for portraits and fashion and stuff. And normally most camera bodies, I think, so I shoot with Nikon, you can get quite a cheap kind of £100 ish, probably second hand 50 mm lens. And 1.4 just means that it's a big aperture, so you can let lots of light in. So you can shoot in natural light even when it's not kind of super bright and sunny, and get some nice images that way. So you can just invest in it that way and start trying to build some images. Assisting as well, like reaching out to photographers. It can be hard when you're brand new because photographers will often want to work with assistants that have like a decent amount of knowledge, because you'll be working around obviously kind of professional models, stylists, um, expensive lighting, and kind of they want people that they know will be able to kind of work with the lighting and understand how to use the flash and set up all the stands and the booms and all of that kind of stuff and all the safety things like sandbags and just there's a lot to learn in assisting. So yeah, I think probably building up a portfolio yourself and doing it that way, or maybe a course of some kind is a good foundation, and then maybe assisting, and then kind of starting out on your own. But yeah, I think just shoot as much as you can, really. Just put ideas together and start to make little mood boards of ideas that you want to shoot. You can almost make like a little library of, because obviously it'll probably take you a while to get all the teams and the models that you want together. But you can at least have these little projects kind of lined up almost, so that you know, oh great, I've met a model, or I've been able to get in touch with an agency so I can do this shoot. Um, you can maybe try and get in touch with stylists like locally as well, or just run out and try and grab some clothing from H&M or Prime somewhere, and like self style it early on as well. That's always possible. And yeah, starting to try and pull images together that look like the work that you want to produce, and then you just kind of keep working towards that. I think it's a good way. Let's check what's on that. Perfect. I think you sent a few questions over. Yeah, go for it. What did you have for next?
I was just thinking, sort of wise is that, isn't it? Like, a lot that I've done is sort of self-style sort of recently, so
Yeah,
that
yeah,
helps. I
yeah,
think as
definitely.
well, because I volunteer, I sort of managed to sort of work with the shop that I work, sort of volunteer at, sort of lend it, then
Yeah,
sort of collaborate on it.
mhm. Yeah. That's a great way to do it. And to have, well, as you said, like models like style themselves as well. You can send them a mood
Yeah,
board and say, "Have you got any clothing that looks roughly like
yeah,
this?" And you're like, "No problem. If not, just bring some bits and pieces, some options with them."
yeah,
And you can try and help style in that way by kind of, if they've got 3 or 4 different jackets, try and pick one that you think will work well. Just
yeah,
think about like the shape and the contrast, and it's composition as well. Thinking about kind of pattern, shape, color. Your eyes normally drawn to like faces first, then color, and then probably like contrast, and then it's like texture. So it's kind of all those little elements to try and think about kind of where you want the focus to be, and how you want the kind of colors to look, and the color grading and the lighting and all that kind of stuff, and try and get the styling to fit in there as well. That's yeah, it's a good way to do it.
What would you say the hardest part of being a fashion photographer is that people don't realize it's sort of tricky?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of keeping busy really, because it can
Yeah,
be, I think freelance life in general can be very up and down. You'll get really quiet
yeah,
periods where yeah, it goes completely dead, and then it'll be completely manic. It's it's very like up and down. It's rare that it's kind of yeah, that it's just a nice even pace. It's normally like absolute chaos where everyone that you've ever worked with is wanting to shoot in the same month, and then it's really quiet for 2 or 3 months.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it's just trying to kind of stay busy so that when there is those quieter periods, you kind of start working on marketing. I was terrible. I'm still trying to rebuild my marketing skills, to be fair. But I would just rely on word of mouth, which is not always the best, because
yeah,
it's a great kind of way of picking up clients, but at the same time, yeah, when it gets quieter, you need to have those skills to know how to kind of market yourself and kind of put the word out there so people know who you are, what you do, kind of where you are, what kind of work you do, so people kind of can come to you to, for headshots or model portfolios or clothing campaigns, all those different things. So at least in those downtimes, if you can do some headshots or portfolios, and speak to brands, and you can kind of start, just consistently trying to kind of build work.
yeah,
Because as well, I mean, you can get some amazing jobs for clothing brands, and then build a really good relationship with them, and then someone from that company will leave, maybe the contact that you had that you were working with, and they bring their own people in to do the shots, so you lose that client suddenly.
yeah,
It's no fault of your own. Kind of normally, it's literally just fair enough, they have their own kind of team that they like working with. They've come into this company, so you lose that contact. Sometimes it comes back around again, but so yeah, it's just kind of it can be very up and down. So it's just knowing that there will be kind of quiet spots. So it's trying to shoot, as I said, kind of portfolios, headshots, editorials, keep putting work out there on kind of your social media and your LinkedIn and things, but also kind of putting together email kind of marketing to kind of push out to brands. Once you've got more established, you can look at things like doing kind of like mail out, where you're trying to email like a large number of kind of design agencies or whatever kind of who you're trying to pitch to, and trying to get in your foot in the door that way. But like that can be expensive to get hold of some of the mailing lists, so it's something that you would do when you different ways to do it. But I think trying to stay busy, kind of shooting as much as you can. It's trying to keep a momentum almost. It's weird. I always find if I can come out of the busy period and keep shooting and kind of staying busy, it stays stays busy, if that makes sense. So yeah, trying to keep a momentum going.
Yeah, I can't realize that when I did editing originally, it was like I did a year of editing, sort of
Yeah.
freelance, and sort of
Oh,
had months where
yeah.
it's 1 month is just
Yeah.
20 edits, and then next month maybe
Yeah.
5 edits. So it's
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, it's very up and down. But yeah, I mean that's a good skill to use as well to like try and kind of be good in maybe a few areas, especially starting out. So you can be shooting your own work for clients. Maybe do some work as like a digi or a lighting assistant as well,
yeah,
or just like a general assistant. And maybe if you get good at retouching as well, as you said, like you can do editing work and retouching for people. So that way you can kind of do like a few different jobs within that field. So you're not just focused on just shooting fashion photography and nothing else. Maybe have some skills that are kind of related to what you're doing, but that you can do for other people as well. That's a useful thing to have, especially starting out, I think. So yeah, editing is a great one if you can get good at that. So,
what would you say aim is sort of for next year, photography wise?
I've been doing some more West End projects, which has been good fun. Working with some new producers, theatre producers. So yeah, there's hopefully a couple of projects starting next year. So looking forward to that. And I've got a couple of editorials lined up as well. There's a model from LA that I've wanted to work with for a while, but he's going to fly over to London to do some shoots. So that'll be great. So spending Christmas basically have a few days off, and then the rest of it I'll be planning. Getting all my mood boards and kind of teams together ready to shoot stuff in the new year. And I think just working on my marketing, I've got a lot of my work's last minute. I've got quite a few regular clients that I'll only find out probably weeks before they want to shoot something. So there's not often kind of a lot that's booked way in advance. So normally only like a couple of weeks or maybe a month or so. I've hopefully got one in Ibiza in June, so that'll be good. But again, I'll probably try and, if I can, book work around that as well. I'll maybe even do an editorial while I'm out there. That's a good thing to do if you can. If you know you're traveling, trying to do some shoots kind of when you're in another country. Because I think that's always nice for your portfolio, getting some real variation by being in a totally different country. It's good. But yeah, I think just kind of rebuilding my portfolio. So I've changed my style in the last kind of 2 years to try and make it a little bit more fashion and a bit more kind of fine art focused rather than quite as commercial. So it's trying to kind of do more shoots in that style, and kind of put work on my marketing to kind of reach the right clothing brands and the right clients to generate some more work next year. I'm probably doing a bit more video work as well. That's started to pick up this year. So yeah, I'm just be working on some more kind of video tools and things over Christmas to get get used to that workflow. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what comes next year. Have you got much on yourself?
Looking at potential sort of photography project with like a fashion student in the new year. So I'm looking
Yeah,
to book a coffee chat with them and or
yeah,
discuss their ideas and see what.
yeah. That sounds great. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, January's like a good time because often people are they've made a decision to kind of push their portfolio or try and work in a different kind of style. So yeah, it's a good time to get in touch with models and yeah, see if they want to shoot something for their book. Yeah, that sounds great. Perfect. Let's see if there's anything I've missed off that list. Those things. I think we've got. Yeah, I think we've got all of those. But yeah, I think it's the creative industry in general. It can be very up and down, especially at the moment. I think with a lot of people concerned with AI and a lot of jobs going in different industries, kind of games industry, stock photography. A few areas have been hit quite hard, and it will probably affect the creative industry. But I think there's always going to be a demand for like genuine kind of real work, real people.
Yeah.
I think people can tell, well, when stuff's AI at the moment, obviously that's going to improve. But yeah, I think there's going to still be a push for some brands that they'll want real, genuine kind of people and real work. So I think it's probably. I think I can see that maybe being something more of a trend to have maybe stripping back some of that. Retouching's often used to not to try and make people look perfect, but it's more removing like distractions. Um, so with retouching, I think yeah, maybe kind of learning to do it in a way that you keep the detail and the skin and the texture there without it being kind of too smooth and too polished. Um, Still learning how to do what you call like beauty retouching, where you do like really even out a skin tone. You want to get rid of blemishes and things like that. But it's yeah, trying to keep that natural kind of look to it. It's probably a good thing to learn. But yeah, I think there'll be it'll be interesting to see how things pan out next year. But I think with photography, if it's something that you really enjoy and you start to kind of love doing, it's maybe even getting a job and part-time job doing something different, so you can kind of pay your bills, and then build your portfolio kind of alongside that. It can be quite hard to kind of just go in cold turkey and rely on photography to bring all your income in. So especially when you've just started out, so it is probably a good plan to kind of think of something else that you can do part time and then build up your photography kind of while you're doing that. I think that's probably the best plan at the moment, and then yeah, you can kind of get some really strong work there and transition into it full time, if that's what you what you want to do. Was there any other questions you've got?
I think that's all. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Well, do you think you want to go into photography in terms of like stills, or do you think you'll do more video, or do you think you'll probably do like a mix of both?
There's still all still, isn't it? So,
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. Have you got any kind of projects that you've got in mind for next year as well for like editorial and magazine stuff?
not at the moment, but I know I might look at doing some bigger projects or sort of
Yeah.
work
Yeah.
towards it. Because I looked around the Caviar Studios and that
Oh,
could be
yeah. Great space.
somewhere to do some.
Yeah. That sounds good. But yeah, again, maybe use kind of the Christmas break when you've got a bit of downtime to have a think of some new goals and things that you can put together. Yeah, brilliant. Excellent. Well, it was really nice to speak to you, man. We'll have to have a proper catch up, grab a coffee at some point. Perfect. Excellent. But, yeah, that was great.
Also consider liking and subscribing if it was useful.